Hey everybody, it's me, Gregory. I'm the Dragon King, and welcome to the Dragon's Den. Today we have three interesting stories. One involves reducing pay. The other one is artificial intelligence, and of course the BS that's going on in California. If you steal something, according to Governor Newsom, you are going straight to jail. No ifs, ands, or buts. Okay, so let's get into the first story. Nikki Haley is a GOP former governor of, let's see here. She's the former governor of South Carolina. Before we get into this, I am by no stretch of the imagination a conservative, a Christian right-wing, a Republican at all. I'm a liberal. I'm an extreme liberal at times, and I don't subscribe to any religion. For those of you that do, you can leave this channel. If you don't like what's being said, you can move on to the next. Okay. So Nikki Haley says first Nikki Haley calls for Congress to be paused if government shuts down. Most of you may not know that the Republicans are threatening to shut down the government, and that could have some effects on certain individuals, certain systems. Not all, most people won't be affected, but certain places will. What those places are will probably be affected. For example, a VA. Well, let's get into the story. Let's get into it. I'll just get into the story. The 2024 GOP hopeful supports far more spending cuts to the federal budget, right? The GOP presidential hopeful Nikki Haley on Wednesday called for members of Congress to have their pay suspended if the government shuts down at the end of the month, right? If government shuts down, Congress should not be paid. Who don't agree with that, right? You don't pay any single congressional member if you're going to go and allow this embarrassment to happen. The former South Carolina governor told Fox Business Stuart Varney. She goes on to say members of Congress get paid during the shutdown because their pay is not part of the bill to fund the federal government, according to the Constitution. Members of Congress are paid from the Treasury, and the 27th Amendment states pay won't be changed during a current term. Representative Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, Democrat from New York, similarly called for members of Congress to have their pay furloughed during a federal shutdown. Makes sense to me. Asked if she was on the side of protesting Freedom Caucus members demanding more spending cuts as the end of the fiscal year looms. Haley said spending cuts should be a priority. That includes the payroll of people in Congress and the Senate and all of that, right? It's not difficult to cut spending, according to Nikki Haley. A number of Republicans have demanded more spending cuts and pushed back against continuing resolution. But Haley said if a federal budget is not passed, all Congress deserves the blame. Doing your job is balancing the budget. They don't do that, she said. So, here's my take on that. I believe it makes perfect sense. Like I said, I'm not a Republican or anything, but right is right and wrong is wrong. And when right is righting, you have to right with it. Because if you are going to disrupt the federal government and certain services, then you need to make sure that that includes you too. Because some people may not be getting paid. Now, as I said earlier in the video, some services the federal government cannot mess with. For example, the VA hospital, the VA healthcare system. That cannot be shut down. Now, the clinics possibly, because what can be done in the clinics can be done in the bigger hospitals. The clinics are a satellite version of what the hospital is. What they do in the clinic is provide people, let's say you were traveling 60 miles it would be 60 miles, maybe 70 to you to get to a main VA healthcare hospital. Well, if the clinic is only 20 miles in between you and the hospital, which is 60 miles, it would behoove you to go to that clinic that will provide you those services. Only when they can't is when you may still have to go to the hospital, but they have vouchers and things like that for you to travel. And they will reimburse you if you use your own money, if you qualify and are eligible for travel reimbursement. That's how it works. So clinics, will probably be the one that might get affected, but nothing, otherwise nothing. But then even those, depending on, like I said, what your location is and where the main hospital is, it may stay open. But I totally agree with her. Like, if you're going to disrupt the government, nobody who makes these laws, who creates this legislation, should be allowed to continue to receive pay. If you're going to disrupt the government, your pay should be disrupted too. Nobody should get a pass. I think people in the Senate, them as well, they shouldn't get paid. It's all you. They're the ones making these laws and policies and legislation. They should not get paid because they're disrupting the government. It's not a good thing. Social Security checks will be affected. They'll be delayed, things like that. So it's a lot to take in, and I think that if you're going to play games like that, then you should have a certain standard. Put yourself on that same platform, put yourself in those same shoes, and say, because this is going to happen, we will also suspend our pay. Now, for how long is the question, if it were to ever happen, but I'm totally with that. But I'm also with term limits. I'm also with the fact that I wish they were talking more about term limits in this whole thing. If the President of the United States, the most powerful person in the world, if they cannot do more than 8 years, it used to be 3 a long time ago, but if they can not do more than 8 years in the White House, why would anybody else, should be allowed to stay in a political position like a congressman or a senator until the zombie apocalypse? It just don't make no sense. I mean, just look at Mitch McConnell. The man is having moments where he's unaware, everything is at a standstill. It is time to go. It is time to go. Maxine Waters and all of them. Yes, I said it. As significant as she is as a black woman, she's out in California, I'm in Wisconsin. You can't expect change to happen if the old guards are still in place. If the old guards are still in place at the Capitol, change can't happen. We can't be progressive. We can't. You have to retire. Maxine Waters, Mitch McConnell, Leslie Graham. It's a host of others. It is time to go. It's time to go. You shouldn't be sticking around till you're in the state of rigor mortis. No offense, but 8 years needs to be the limit. Damage. We know damage will be done in 4. Just look at President Trump. But also if you do another 4 years, that's a continuation of damage. Now, some of you might argue, well, there's more to do in the 4 years, in the next 4 years. No. If you didn't get it done in the first 4 years, 8 if you got reelected, it is time to go. We need to keep the cycle going. We need to keep that water running of fresh ideas, bringing new life to our government. And that's just what it is. So there's my take on that. Now, the second story that we have here is Elon Musk. So Elon Musk, some time ago, created what he says is a Neuralink to things that are going on in your house as far as electronics and technology. So, this story, let me see, did I say who? The first story came from The Messenger with Nikki Haley, and it was done by Zachary Lehman. That's Zachary Lehman, so I'll put all the links in the description so y'all can go check it out. So I just wanted to give people the props and give them what's due to them. Okay, so we're citing our sources. So the second story is Elon Musk. Musk Neuralink to start human trial of brain implant for paralysis patients. So you can already know where this is going. This is a Reuters story. I don't know. Let me see, who is it by? It says reporting by Miriam, Sunny, and Bengaluru. So that's Miriam, Sunny, and Bengaluru. But you go on Reuters.com, and again, I'll put all the links to the story so you can look in detail. So, billionaire, the story says September 9th, Reuters, billionaire entrepreneur Elon Musk's brain chip startup Neuralink said on Tuesday it has received approval from an independent review board to begin recruitment for the first human trial of its brain implant for paralyzed patients. My thing with that is, who approved it? Was it the federal government? Was it a third party? Do they work for the federal government? Because you have to wonder, when they say it's been approved by the independent review board, is this affiliated with the federal government? Is it a foreign government? You just don't know these things. So the story says those with paralysis due to cervical spinal cord injury or amyotrophic lateral sclerosis may qualify for the study, it said, but did not reveal how many participants would be enrolled in the trial, which will take about 6 years to complete. Now, I'm going to be honest, full disclosure. Before I knew that it was for people who have these paralysis due to cervical spinal cord injury or amyotrophic lateral sclerosis, I thought it was just something cool to do, and I had sent a little funny tweet, not really just playing around. I sent a tweet saying I would like to be a participant and stuff like that because I didn't realize what it was. And, maybe I'm weird, but I think that would be interesting. Control all the devices in your house. Now, there is another company that does that, but they do it with an earpiece. I don't know who they are, but you can go find out. I think I used to see a lot of commercials on YouTube and what have you. So it says the study will use a robot to surgically place a brain-computer interface BCI implant in the region of the brain that controls the intention to move. Neuralink said, adding that its initial goal is to enable people to control a computer cursor or keyboard using their thoughts alone. So that to me sounds like actually it could be for anybody, but they're going to, I guess, try for those who have mobility issues, such as the ones that were mentioned. But I think overall, it may be something that eventually down the line, everybody will be able to use if they choose to do so. If this is in fact, a real thing. The article goes on to say the company, which had earlier hoped to receive approval to implant its device in 10 patients, was negotiating a lower number of patients within the U.S. Food and Drug Administration after the agency raised safety concerns. According to current and former employees, it is not known how many patients the FDA ultimately approved. The article goes on to say that Musk has grand ambitions for Neuralink, saying it would facilitate speedy surgical insertions of its chip device to treat conditions like obesity. Okay, so it's having more of a broader spectrum. Like I said, autism, depression, and schizophrenia. In May, the company said it had received clearance from the FDA for its first in-human clinical trials, when it was already under federal scrutiny for its handling of animal testing. So that's where it's going to have some moral conflict, animal testing. Human beings, they have free will. Animals have free will too, but animals can't speak out, unfortunately. But human beings can decide whether or not this is a thing that they want to try and do, knowing all the consequences, knowing all the legal ramifications. An animal does not. So I can see what the issues there. Even if the BCI device proves to be safe for human use, it would still potentially take more than a decade, that's 10 years, for the startup to secure commercial use clearance, as in for everybody, right? According to experts. So we're looking at, it's 2023, we're looking at 2033, and we probably won't see it until then. So there's that. But I mean, it would be something cool. They already have something out there. They already have something that's going to do that. But a lot of these companies are startups. There are companies that are innovative, but they're startups. A lot of people have grew up with this Christian background. Speaking of Christianity, like I did, but a lot of people have grew up with Christian backgrounds, and they're worried about the mark of the beast and this and that and the devil and all of this. I'll tell everybody, this is not a Christian conspiracy channel or nothing like that. Aliens, yes, but never a Christian. But I think that if we're really going to get down to what's, if that were true with the mark of the beast, it would probably be your Social Security number. Now, this is not spreading hate or scare tactics or fear mongering, nothing of the sort. The Social Security number is linked to everything you do. You want to find out somebody, once you get that Social Security number, everything else is pretty much, at your fingertips. So, like I said, I don't believe in any of that. The whole Neuralink chip thing may not be a bad thing. We're always looking for ways to secure our money. Our computers have chips in them. Our cars, our debit cards, our credit cards are all chipped. They have certain information in them. But the thing about that is, the more it can get more, that the hackers are getting smarter. The more technology is evolved, the hackers are getting more involved. So that might be the problem with that. But there's, I think if it's going to help initially patients with those type of disorders, it's a wonderful thing. We have to. Janet Jackson has a song called "Trust to Try." It has nothing to do with technology, but it has something to do with, you've been burned, but you still have to live. You still have to hope for the best. You know what I'm saying? And you just have to be extremely more cautious and be a little bit more critical about what you're choosing that you want in your life. So that's pretty much how I'm going to sum up this story. But anyway, I'll put all the links in the description. The last and final story that I'm doing today, I might do some more, but what I'm doing today is, this story comes from MoneyWise. And it is by Bethan Moorcraft. Bethan Moorcraft. And in this story, the title is "They'll Walk Straight into Jail Cells." California says it will spend $267 million to crack down on smash and grabs, robberies in retail stores that we've seen a lot of. We've seen them everywhere, but California and Atlanta and Georgia and all of them seems to be the worst. But will it save, according to the article, will it save off the national growing threat? And I'll summarize it in a minute when I'm done. It says California has launched an offensive against the brazen criminals causing chaos in the state's retail sector, injecting $267,118,293 into local law enforcement agencies to help them crack down on smash and grab robberies. California is a big state. I think they should have got a bigger budget. The funding will be split between 55 local enforcement agencies across the state, with 41 sheriffs and police departments, along with one probation department, being awarded up to $23,663,194 each. Wait a minute, what? Okay. 13 district attorney offices will also each receive up to $2,050,000 to prevent and investigate organized retail crime and arrest and prosecute more suspects. So that's a real big chunk of money. A real big chunk of money. I think a lot of people, is money the answer? I think it is in this case, because you have to. A lot has been stolen. The theft and the smash and grabs are going on, just ridiculous. I saw YouTube just today when there was a 3 people trying to steal out of what looked like a TJ Maxx or a Marshalls, allegedly. I think that's where it was. And so the 2 of them got away. There was 4 of them total. One of them snuck around the side while this Caucasian man had stopped one of them, got up to the ground, and she was let me go, let me go, like let me go. She was stealing all this stuff, and she eventually got away. I don't think she got away with the merchandise, but it was just, I mean, it's just like, who's working out here? You know what I'm saying? Some people are retired, semi-retired like myself. Some people are retired. Some people are at the jobs, but there's so many warning signs. I've never seen a generation like this where nobody is working. I'm a child of the 70s and 80s. I was born in 72. You know, by 1980 I was 8 years old. So it's like, who is, you know, what is happening? Like I'm saying, who is out here working? Because this generation definitely is not. You know, we see a lot of them on YouTube, and that's fine. You know what I'm saying? YouTube, that's fine. You know what I'm saying? But can't everybody do YouTube? Can't everybody will be successful on YouTube? It's worth the try if you got the talent, you got the skill set. But for me, this generation is not going to work. They are not going to work. They not going to work. It's just it ain't making sense. So the rest of the story says, rich young Americans have lost confidence in the stock market and are betting on 3 assets instead, getting in now for strong long-term tailwinds. Okay, that's a little byproduct. Okay. So it says, enough with the brazen smash and grabs. California Governor Gavin Newsom said when announcing the grants was an unprecedented $267 million investment. Californians will soon see more takedowns, more police, more arrests, more felonies, prosecutions. Okay, you stealing, you know, you taking something that you haven't earned. You know, this, you know, it ain't like, you know, there was some type of conflict going on and you decided to. Look, looting is wrong, okay? But there's a cause and effect. Not that looting is ever right, because it's not. But with recent historical history we've seen, you see that happen. You know, you unfortunately see that happen, which is not a good thing. But with this, it's just absolutely random with these smash and grabs. So he goes on to say, when shameless criminals walk out of stores with stolen goods, they'll walk straight into jail cells. And this is Gavin Newsom is saying this. It says retailers have had enough. Retailers in California have been struggling to cope with the recent surge in criminal activity, which is seriously stinging their bottom lines. I can imagine so, especially if you're a small business owner and you have all these people stealing every damn thing in your store. You can't keep afloat. That first 3 to 5 years for a small business owner is very crucial. Very crucial. If you make it to the 4th year, you know what I'm saying, you can breathe a little easy, but you still can't. You know, you probably still haven't made a decent profit to, you know, take a real kind of, you know, you can take a breather, but you definitely won't be able to relax. That's just how some businesses work. So it says, as a result, some stores have resorted to securing certain items with padlocks and chains. I don't think that's going to work, because I was watching a video 2 weeks ago, and I forgot where it was. And they were in the Louis Vuitton Gucci store. There was a mob of them ran in. They were taking out the poles. They were taking the chains with the poles that were attached to the items that they were trying to steal. So even that didn't stop them. You know, you would almost need, you know, I don't want to say because it'll sound bad, but, you know, I'll leave that alone. But you're going to need something else. You know, you're going to need a robot. You know, just imagine if they had Terminators in all these stores. You know, just imagine. That's not promoting violence. What that's promoting is safety and security for those who have earned the right to be in that store, i.e., because they've worked hard, they've shopped diligently on a positive level. They've earned everything they have. They've only bought what they can afford, and they don't cause any problems. Just imagine if you had a artificial intelligence individual, like, hey, they can see the signs, body language, body heat, you know what I'm saying, things like that. Trust me, it's being developed, you know what I'm saying? It's being developed, trust me. And on a side note, before I finish this article, because it's getting long, to all my African American people, we are all worried about AI and the market of beast. How about you invest in these companies that's creating these artificial intelligence technologies and robots and animatronic and all this? How about you invest in these companies? Because there's a saying out here: if you can't beat them, join them. Okay, I just want to put that out there for y'all. So, it says, as a result, some stores have resorted to creating padlocks and chains, or they're locking up high theft items behind plastic casings. Plastic now. While others are upping their security, resulting in major inconvenience to honest shoppers and workers alike. The problem with personal human security is they are not allowed to do certain things. They're not allowed to touch people unless they are like seriously bonded, and unless that employer says that I'm going to be covering any liability, physical or otherwise, if you physically have to detain this person, because most people are not doing it. Most employers will tell you, having done a long stretch of doing security, private security work, working with law enforcement, they will not allow you to touch anyone. Matter of fact, there is what we call a threshold. That threshold, once you reach it, you are not to chase them any longer. You're not to worry about the item. You're just to call the police, give them a decent, accurate description. Some won't even let you do. They won't even let you get to that point. You'll just give a description because they're worried about your safety. And if you think about it, it's not worth it. Although, like I said, some employers who have high value items, they're going to cover that liability, you know what I'm saying, in such a way where they're telling you to detain this person. You know ahead of time if this person has X, Y, and Z. You've signed off on a contract saying that you are willing to do this, yada yada yada. That's where more pay needs to be paid to these people who are physically doing security. That's just me, right? It says, but for many retail giants, enough is enough. In recent months, there's been a huge uptick in retailers shutting up shop and leaving theft-prone cities like San Francisco and Los Angeles for good, landing significant blows to the state's economy. I mean, why would you stay? Your business is not going to work. Okay, it goes on to say to $100 billion problem. The issues plaguing California aren't isolated to the Golden State. Of course it's not. According to a study from the National Retail Federation, organized retail crime and theft are growing in both scope and complexity across the United States of America. It absolutely is. Again, this generation, I'm sorry. I ain't sorry. Sorry, not sorry. This generation is not taking their ass to work. They don't want to fucking work. I don't know what in the F is going on, but this generation does not want to work. They don't want to work. They don't want to work. They do not want to work. I don't know what's going on, but they ass don't want to work. Go to work somewhere, for real. In fact, the National Retail Federation, the NRF, estimated in its annual security report that theft is costing the retail industry roughly $100 billion, and I believe. The NRF described theft as a persistent and growing threat. It's almost like a virus, you know what I'm saying, that's attacking the country. You know what I'm saying? It's just there's no end to it. There's no end to it. You know, many cities have seen retail store closures in recent months, with rampant crime being just one of the major factors in this. Of course, people are closing down their doors. They're selling off their inventory. Most people are probably going to end up going online because it's a safer bet. It's a safer bet to go online. You know, most people are going to be vendors for Amazon. You know, because the mom and pop stores, the brick and mortar, the freestanding stores, this is not happening. It's not working. In addition to theft concerns, retailers across the U.S. are also struggling to regain the same levels of foot traffic that they enjoyed pre-pandemic. Makes sense. People ain't coming out. More and more of the virus is coming out. People are really kind of worried about that. Partly due to rising costs and sustained popularity of remote work. Okay, makes sense. Inflation is having an impact on everybody, and people don't want to be out. It's dangerous. It's crime. You got all these different viruses and things going on. People don't want to be outside. They'll be inside and work remotely. People who's never worked remotely in their life, they at that computer. They just are, because things have changed, which has reduced footfall in downtown shopping areas. Nobody's really shopping downtown anymore. The downtown shopping areas, the downtown malls are nothing what it used to be. It's just not the same. You got Amazon, you've got Temu, you've got YouTube. YouTube has you got the NFL ticket. You know what I'm saying? You don't need to do certain things. You can do it all from your home. You don't have to go to the movies, because YouTube, a month or two afterwards, I've rent and bought movies that came out 2-3 months after the movie was in the theater. Bought it on YouTube. You know what I'm saying? I own a digital copy of it, and that's a great thing, because you don't want to be out there. So yeah, unfortunately, this is all going on. So y'all let me know what you think in the comments. So we got a mouthful today. We got Nikki Haley want Congress people to reduce their pay if the Republicans are gonna shut it down. She's a GOP member, rightfully so. Elon Musk is coming out with the Neuralink that's going to help disable people and eventually be in the mass commercial public. Although some people's worried about it being a market of beasts and all that old craziness. And then the last story, the smash and grabs of California are going to have dire consequences. So, break into that store if you want to, because Governor Gavin Newsom got something for you. All right, so thank you all for subscribing. Don't forget to share. Don't forget to like. Tell other folks about it. I am Gregory, the Dragon King, and thank you for coming to the Dragon's Den. I will see you all soon. Bye-bye.